Hey folks, welcome back to another week of Training Tips at 6 with Karen. This week we've got a great show for you. We have a little technical difficulty at the beginning, but we're going to dive right in as soon as we can. We have some great questions and some great resources and some good conversations about tools and that you can use that require some extra help, but not to worry. We talk about all of it in the show. Let's dive in and we'll see you on the other side. So, yeah, Madeline, I'm going to get to that. Thanks for that question. How do you stop your dog from eating poop? So, I live on 100 acres, and we have pretty concentrated area of walking. So there's a lot of poop in the. I shovel off the track, but I put it into the field. And now that the snow is gone and the grass is low, the poop is difficult for me to see, but easy for him to smell. So he goes on a walk, and you think, isn't that cute? He's sniffing out all the mice and little things over the winter. No, he's sniffing poop. And if I'm not following him, that's Prince in the background. He's going to get comfortable. They know this show, so they know the routine. If I'm not following him, he's because the owner said, oh, we got to only feed him this real special, very expensive food because he has digestive issues. I don't know if they know that he's obsessed with eating poop, because the first 2 nights he was here, where he'd be under my desk and he just about blow me out of the water. He stunk so bad. And I thought, what is going on here? And then I saw this happening. So how do I fix it? It's, you know what, my experience, and I've had a lot of poop eaters, my experience is that you can never eliminate it. You can only manage it. And I've had dogs that are so obsessed with poop eating. One of the tricks is to muzzle them. They shove, especially with the Jafco muzzles that have, well, any of them, Baskerville, any of them that have, they all have holes in them. They shove the muzzle into the poop. They know it's going to squirt into the muzzle, and they get it that way, which is worse because then you got to take the muzzle off. And that's what that doesn't work. That used to be a go-to. There's theories that say put Tabasco on it. Well, you go into 100 acres and probably, over the winter, at least 150 piles of poop, and you try to put Tabasco on every one of them. I had a female lab that was an obsessive poop eater, and I did that along our walking trail, and she just waited till it rained, and then she went back and found them. This guy is, it's funny, not funny. He knows when I'm stalking him, so he'll just mark. I can see him, I can see his eyes. He goes sideways. It's almost like he's made that little picture in his mind. So those of you that know how dogs think, they think in pictures. So he's made that picture, and then we go off, and he might come back on, on the return trip, and he just strolls right on by. No problem, Mom, got this. I'm not interested in that poop. But the minute I take my attention away from him, he goes out of sight. Where is he? He's back on that pile of poop. All right, so how do I fix it? He's fully e-collar trained. That's the only way I can stop him from eating poop. None of the other little cutesy tricks work. I'm not going to keep him on a long line in 100 acres because he's a good boy. He doesn't run away. Even when he goes to eat poop, he's not going anywhere. He's going to find poop. And so I end up following him when I should be throwing a Frisbee and having fun with everybody. I've got to keep my eye on him. But my technique is more than just if he puts his nose on it, I bang the button. I don't do that. I wait until he's committed. And then he opens his mouth. He has to open his mouth. And sometimes he's fast. And fox and coyote poops hard, so it's a little easier. But when he opens his mouth, I've learned that just the simple vibration mode no longer is effective for him. I press on the red button, and the level is at 17 red. And I hold it. He spits it out. I still hold it for another 10 seconds, and then he doesn't go back to that pile. But he just goes and finds another pile. So it's not fun. And then then I do something fun with him. I call him and we play and that sort of stuff, but he's still looking for that next pile of poop. So the simple answer to your question, whoever asked the question about how you fix it, you can't fix it. You can only manage it. That's been my experience. The other question is, why do dogs do that? There's some pretty strong scientific evidence that it's genetic, that his father might have been a poop eater, and his mother, and relatives beyond there. So, hey, Date Nana, welcome. So that's the most consistent evidence that I've seen, because I've had dogs that have, been fed a variety of diets. I supplement them. They say put pineapple in their food. That helps. No, it doesn't. Put Tabasco in the poop. That helps. No, it doesn't. He's missing something. No, he's not. He's just not. So, yeah, anyway. It's not a very nice problem. So let's get into some questions here. We've got a question here from Rudy Zone. Oops. Rudy Zone. I have a 1-year-old golden doodle, 60 pounds. We've done some training with her, sit, stay, kennel, etc. However, when she sees another dog, person, kid, she pulls and doesn't listen. But that means she's not trained to understand how to deal with those distractions. So That's a tough one. Um, she's 1 year old. She's 60 pounds, so she's pretty strong. There's a couple of different things you can do. I had, and I'm gonna post this video. My assistant Vena's listening to now. I took a little video on the weekend of a nice little poodle mix puppy I have. We don't know what kind of other things are in there, but um, he's a pretty strong boy. He's only 4 months old, and his owner brought him in, and the husband, because the wife's been training, she's been doing good work, but he saw me and he's going crazy and nuts. And people, here's what you don't do. Don't go like this. I'm gonna move out here. Yep. Don't go like this and then let the dog pull you to the person. Because what you're teaching them is they just have to pull harder to get what they want. So here's what I recommend in the interim is there's a couple different things. But first of all, if she sees somebody, you need to be proactive. You want to get in front, you want to block. And if you can't control the dog, then step on her, step on the leash very close to her collar and hang on with both. I put both feet on. I'm going to just show you here on a leash. Put both feet on the leash so she can't pull it out. Just like much waist on it. Just like so. I'm gonna peek. You probably can't see my feet, but I just step on it. The leash is right under my foot. The dog would be right beside me, and I have 2 feet on if I need to, and I hang on here and I anchor here and I wait. Ideally, I might do a little bit of an angle so I can put my knee in front. And you have to do that over and over and over and over again. And then you, at the same time, you have to ignore her. Don't be saying, it's okay, stop it, oh, good girl, or bad dog, stop it, listen to me. She doesn't care about any of that. She's not going to hear that. That's the Band-Aid measure in the interim. The long-term fix is you teach her to walk nicely on leash, and you're the advocate. When you see someone coming, you teach her to go to the other side. It's called the trigger dance. You switch. If she's on your left side and the dog is coming on your left side, you take the leash from your left hand to your right hand, and you guide her around as you swing with her, and you dance, and you take your left hand and you're using it as a swing arm to get her around. Then you put the leash back in your left hand, you guide her forward. Well, with your back to the person or dog and your chest facing her, and you keep moving. You move out along to get out of there. But in order to make that effective, you want to get some help. In my leash walking course, The Great Stroll, the final chapter is all about the trigger dance. That's what it's called. It's about how to deal with dogs that pull towards other people on leash. The little section on, it was a 38-second video I took on the weekend of this puppy losing his mind. Well, I would just walk straight up to him and stop and talk to the owner, and neither one of us paid attention to the dog, and he just sat down, looked at us, and I made the mistake of saying good dog, and he got all squiggly again, so we stopped. And then we turned and walked away. I said, drop the leash. We walked away, and he just didn't care. That's in chapter 5 in The Great Stroll, which is being put together as we speak. I highly recommend that you go to my bio, click on the link for that leash walking course called The Great Stroll. Everything that you need to get your dog under control on leash is in there, right from how to hold the leash properly to how to move with the right foot. Your dog doesn't listen to your voice. Your dog listens to your body language, how you move your body. And how you move your body determines what message the dog gets down the leash. Because if you move wrong and the dog does wrong, then you yank. Now you're nervous and the dog is reading that. So my advice, Rudy Zone, is click on that. You got 2 options. You can go into the Video Vault, which is a whole series of other things and a monthly subscription, and you'll get what you need out of that. But the other the best thing I can suggest is we've taken the leash chapter out of the Video Vault and we've added to it and created a separate course. That's the place. That's my recommendation. How can I stop my dog chasing my son's cats? My dog is a spaniel. Thank you for that question. I'm assuming this is in the house, and I'm assuming that the dog is in the house with the cats. So here, this ties perfectly into what we're going to talk about our free giveaway. Every week, as you know, we have a free download for all of you. I just talked to the last person, Rudy Zone, about how you can access my leash walking course. Go to my bio. There's a ton of free stuff in there. But this week, if you type in the comments the words chill spot, you will get access to my lesson plan, very detailed lesson plan on how to master the art of doing nothing with your dog, how to teach your dog to self-calm. This is the solution for your dog to stop chasing your son's cats. And it's not easy. You can teach, you can probably interrupt it with a massive correction, but what you want to do is teach them to coexist. Cats are always the winners in a dog and cat relationship because they run and dogs chase, and they know when the dogs chase, they get in trouble. Cats just know. They just know. And then they sit up on top of the buffet or table or whatever, and they swat the dog, and they just get it in all kinds of trouble. And the dog's losing its mind because it just doesn't know any better. But the cat's like, no. So a spaniel's pretty active. My recommendation is this. You type chill spot in comments so that you can get this lesson. You're going to do this even when the cats are not in the room. You want to teach the dog to self-calm. So by teaching the dog what you want it to do first, in other words, relax, this is only one thing. You can do a variety of things, but this is where I would start. You teach it that when you're sitting down on the leash, the dog is with you, beside you, you don't pay any attention to it. Somebody comes and goes in the room. If the cats go to come towards the dog, because they likely will, or cats, so when the cats come towards the dog, you are going to have yourself a little yardstick, or this is my great-grandfather's cane. I use it to scoop dog food dishes out of the backs of the crates. But you are going to have this in front, and you're not going to touch the cat. You're just going to wave and go, no, you guys aren't allowed in here. Where you go, you got it. This is our space. And that shows your spaniel that those cats aren't coming in there. They're not prey for him. He's not allowed to chase them. And then they'll move away. Then you just put the yardstick or whatever it is you're using, put it down. But in the meantime, you don't do anything. You don't pay any attention to the dog. And you do that before the cats are there. You do it when people are in the house. You do it whenever you're sitting and the dog is in the house with you, to teach them to come and lay beside you and just chill. It's going to change his state of mind on how he responds when he sees the cats. Doesn't mean he's not going to chase him if he's not sitting with you. But the second stage of that is I would not allow him the freedom in the house at this age. You don't say how old he is. If he's young, you need to just change you got to teach him to coexist. So sitting on the dog or mastering out of doing nothing is one. Type chill spot in the comments and you'll get the free document that explains how to teach that and when to do it. You do it all the time, like at least 3 sessions a day, but particularly start when there's no cats and then introduce the cats. The second thing is he should always, in the house, have a drag line on, what we call a drag line. So that means he's dragging the line, and periodically you pick up that line, you attach it to your belt, or you tie it around your waist, and he just learns to follow you. So when the cats come in the room, you walk and you go the other way. And as soon as he's beside you, you praise profusely. You've just got to change his habit. If you continue to let him chase the cats and you yell at him, you are engaging in the game with him. Don't do that. And I know it's hard, but you've got to be calm. You got, here we go again. You pick up the leash and you tie him and you walk in the opposite direction. So we have a little sausage dog here. He's not, and I don't mean a dachshund. I mean a Frenchie. Can't see him here. I'm going to see if we can get a look at him. He's in his crate there. He's snoozing. He's tired. They've all just eaten, so he's tired now. You can't really see him in there. Yeah, there he is. Let me see. There he is. Yeah, he won't come out. He's in there. But anyway, he loves to play. And every now and then he goes in the house I have a Papillon in there and I have my Pomeranian in there, and he decides he's going to play. And I don't allow that kind of chase play in the house. I don't allow it. It makes me crazy. But I also know that if I just stand behind him and just throw up my hands and yell, that's going to aggravate him and he's going to run harder. So what I do is I'll go, hey, no. And then I'll walk over and I'll pick up the leash. Or he doesn't have one. I'll attach a leash to him. He's been here long enough. He knows the rules. I'll attach a leash to his collar and clip it to my belt. No more freedom. That's how you're going to teach him that there's house rules and there's outside rules. Then you take him outside. Be sure, as a spaniel, he needs a lot of exercise. So be sure you have a predictable daily routine. Your routine in the house is everything has to be calm. I don't throw the ball in the house for them. I don't do anything for them in the house. It's all outside. And then when you go outside, the cats presumably aren't there. Don't expect him to not chase the cats when he's outside. He's going to chase them. Okay, I hope that helped. Okay. Sweet Boy Rio, I have a 60-pound German Shepherd Husky mix. We did a lot of work on recall as a puppy. Now that he's 2, he won't recall off leash. I keep him on a long line now. Any tips for improving recall? Yeah, keeping him on a long line to start, because the husky part of him just wants to go over the next hill. The shepherd part of him should want to do what you ask, but there's a good chance the husky genes are ruling the recall. The only other thing I would suggest, you're doing the right thing, by the way, by keeping him on a long line, because what you want to do is avoid him having the opportunity to refuse your recall. And that means you go, husky, come, and he says, not right now. And you call him again louder, and he says, no, I'm still busy. So then you yell at him. He goes, you know what? You're not that much fun. I'm not coming near you. You want to avoid that. By having a long line on him, every time you call him, you start reeling him in, even if he's already coming. Yeah, good boy, good boy, good boy. He's coming. If you start reeling him in and he resists, you go, nope, come, and you just bring him in. But your ideal way to minimize failure on recall is with an e-collar. And if you don't approve of them, I can't help that. I just, it is the best way. And when you get a reputable, I don't know where you are, if you want to send me a message and let me know where you are, I can line you up with someone that I would trust and rely on. Or I also offer that online by appointment, by special package only. You won't see it in my bio. I do one-on-one according to your needs, because every dog is different. There is no black and white sort of what we call black box or canned package for e-collar. There's a couple of really good books I would recommend if you decide you want to go that route, but it's still, and the reason they're good books is because they account for the diversity of dog personalities. And it's not put the collar on the dog and blast it. It takes a long time. My e-collar program is about 6 months, just to build a different state of mind. And it's very doable online as a personal coach. I offer personal coaching. It's very doable that way. But that's honestly, at 2 years old, you have no other option. You keep him on a long line. And even once you switch to an e-collar, I'd still have him on a long line, but you can let him drag it until you're absolutely certain he's not going to go anywhere. The only thing that would maybe interfere after you've done a complete and thorough e-collar program is some kind of distraction. But when you do an e-collar program thoroughly, you build that, you train for that. You add those distractions, and you set them up low at first and then gradually work up to higher, so that he understands exactly what he's supposed to do. And then he gets to choose. Do I want to comply and go and get a reward, or do I want to pay the price, because I know there's a consequence if I choose not to do what I know I'm supposed to do and go after that thing that looks a whole lot more interesting? That's what he's thinking right now. And he knows that, well, I'm going to try anyway, because the long line, I know I'm not really going to get there, but I know I'm going to have fun trying. With an e-collar, it won't be that much fun if he tries. But he'll certainly understand. A sign of a well-trained dog, by the way, is one that can take a fairly firm, crystal clear correction and then go right back to work. And when we do e-collar training properly, that's what you get. So if you want more information on that, please send me a message, and we can do a free 30-minute Zoom call. I'm happy to give you some details on that. And if you want you want to go further than that, then that's fine. We can discuss that as well. But you won't see anything like that in my bio, because it's a custom program. But I can also give you a reference to someone in your area if you let me know where you're from. All right. Okay, _Lista. Yeah. My 3-year-old Bichon gets ramped up at the window barking. Crime of opportunity. How come she's allowed at the window unchecked? What are you doing when she's barking? What does her daily routine look like? Does she have an adequate fulfillment formula of work, rest, play? Working for a Bichon is walking properly beside you, not all over the place pulling on a flexi lead, but walking beside you with random sits and stays, random back up and recall, random spin around in circles with you. So I call it the dance. And then a crate rest after your walk, and then hanging out with you, mastering the art of doing nothing. Type in chill spot in the comments to see what that looks like. That's what she needs to know. She shouldn't have free access to the window. She should be on a leash in the house. She's 3 years old, so she's got some bad habits. Oops, she should be on a leash in the house attached to your waist. And then you ignore her. Follow her all around. Then you can, after 15 minutes, you drop that leash, let her, don't take it off, you let her drag it. And the minute she goes to bark at the window, bark, 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 you go, nope, let's go. And you go between her and the window and you move with her. If you stand back here and she's barking out the window and you're yelling at her, be quiet, because I know how tempting that is. She's just going, oh, she's pissed off too. She's not happy with those people walking by. I better bark harder, because she hears you as being part of the party, so to speak. This is Dayton Anna's question about how do I stop my dog chasing my son's cats. He's an 8-year-old spaniel. So I'm assuming he's been doing this ever since he met the cats. Probably started as a puppy and everyone thought it was cute. Now it's not cute. It's not, because it's terrorizing the cats, or the cats are terrorizing him, one or the other. And from the human's perspective, it's just annoying. Old dogs can learn new tricks. I would start with the sit on the dog. The mastering the art of doing nothing is one way to teach them to coexist in the same room. By all means, have a line attached to his collar, preferably a choke collar or slip collar 100% of the time when he's in the house. Be prepared to step on that line when the cats enter the room. And he's going to pull if you step on it, get the other end in your hand. Don't yank it, just anchor. And if you have a slip line on it and he goes to pull, he's gonna self-correct. You just let him self-correct. And it's going to take a lot of time and patience. He self-corrects. When he sits down, you feed, reward. The minute he even gives an indication that he's not paying attention to the cats, you reward. You can have him earn his dinner that way, as a matter of fact. And the other thing you can teach him is, after he goes, okay, then level 3, level 1 is sit on the dog in the living room. Level 2 is a tether or a line attached to him in the house. You step on it before he starts chasing the cats, so that he pulls and then he realizes he can't go anywhere. There's no energy there because you're standing on the line, not yanking it with your hands. There's also no emotion. When you stand on the line, you take the emotion out of it. When it's wrapped around your hand and he's constantly pulling your arms, that's annoying. You add emotion, and then it becomes a challenge. So that's level 2. And then level 3 is you teach him a recall. You back him, and then you back away and you go, hey, Spaniel, come, good boy. And you get excited and you reward him when he comes to you. So what you want to teach in the long run is, he sees the cats, he looks to you and comes to you because you're more interesting. Right now, if you're just screaming and yelling and being upset, the cats are way more fun. So he's going to go for the cats every time. But if you become more interesting, maybe you've got his favorite toy, like a squeaky toy, or his favorite treat. Sometimes with spaniels or working breeds, the toy is a way more attractive, because he comes, turns around, looks at you, and maybe you got a toy, squeak, 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 and then you toss it for him, so he goes and gets it. And as he's going, picks up the toy and goes to run by you to chase the cats, you step on the line, you go, no, here, good boy, good. You let him know he's got to be with you. So that's where I would take that to that point. Can always go to the next level with a remote training collar, like I mentioned to the sweet boy Rio, but I wouldn't do that just quite yet, because he's 8 years old. It's going to take some time to let him know what you want him to do first. Then get some help and layer on that next level, because oftentimes people default to that first before they built a relationship. Back up with the dog to teach him what he wants to know, or what he needs to know to be a good boy. Okay. I had a question that was sent to me this week, from Jacqueline, and she says here, how can I encourage, some of you might relate to this, how can I encourage my Papillon to be more friendly? She loves her family. She tentatively takes treats from others, but she doesn't like to be petted or adored by others. And I understand that 100%, because I have a Papillon who is pretty much the same thing. She When she says adored by others, I chuckled when I read that, because how can you not adore a Papillon? They're so cute with their big butterfly ears and, their little pointy little face. So they are more Chihuahua than a lot of Chihuahuas in their attitude. And Pippi is very much like Jacqueline's dog. She likes everybody. She loves everybody. But yet if you reach for her, I'm not having it. If you touch her, not having that either. Don't touch me. But what she loves to do is get beside you and lean on you. If you start to touch her, she's going to get down and she's going to go away. And so my suggestion is this: not every dog wants to be petted. It's an invasion of personal space. It's like someone sticking their hand in your face. And especially with a Papillon, you don't want to put your hand in their face. I touch her on the back or the shoulder and for like 3 strokes. And then, I either stop, she'll look at me and I go, that's the sign, I better stop. And if I don't stop, she's going to go, and I'm going to go, oh, come on. And then she'll sort of go, but she'll look at me and I take my hands away, then she'll settle down. But if I keep touching her, she's just going to go, okay, see ya, I'm out of here. And she leaves. And it's not because she doesn't like me. She doesn't like to be touched. And how can I, she doesn't like to be touched or adored by others. The question was, how can I make her like to be touched? You don't. You learn, and you get your friends to learn and other family members to learn to just be with her. Enjoy her company. She wants to be with you. and enjoy company with you. If you're offering treats and you shove it into her face, there's a good chance she's going to say, that's an invasion of my personal space. I'm not comfortable. If you hold your hand out like so and let her come in and not try to shove it at her, that's going to be a way to get her to feel more comfortable around new people. As long as they don't, when she's taking the food, if they reach for her to pet her because they think that, here's what happens. People put treats in their hand to lure the dog in because they want to pet it. Then as the dog goes to take a treat, they reach out and pet it. You know what that is? That's a violation. That's an assault, basically. It's a violation of personal space. And it's a sure recipe to get the dog to not trust people, because the dog trusted you enough because you were giving them something that they know they need to survive. And then you violated that by doing something to them that you know that they don't like because they told you enough times. So my advice is learn to just be with. Type in chill spot and get that free download on how to learn to do nothing with your dog and have the dog chill out together. They love that. That's Pippi's favorite thing. No matter how animated or upset she is, if I attach that long line to her and I sit down with her, she's like, okay, thank you. She knows no one's coming into that space. No one's going to touch her. She'll jump up then. She said, welcome. I invite her up. She's invited up to the chair. She'll lay down right against my thigh. She'll put her head on my lap and on my knee. And there's nothing that makes my day more than that for the night. I don't have to touch her. I'll touch her once or twice near the end when I know we've got to get up and move. You know, she gets comfortable and wants to sleep. When I need to move and the dogs don't want to move, I just touch her and I know she's going to move. So that's how I do it. So that's the best way to do it. You're not going to force a dog to like being touched. Honestly, you might get them to tolerate being touched. And then remember this, a pet or a touch to a dog should be like a handshake is to a person. Brief and to the point. And then it's done. That's how you get a dog to like being touched, because they know it's not going to go on forever. You know, some dogs are okay. My Pomeranian can let you touch her forever as long as she knows who you are. But if you don't know she doesn't know who you are, forget it. She's not going to touch her at all. Okay. All right. So that's the answer to that question. Is you got to, not every dog likes to be touched. You just have to learn to sit beside them, be in their space together. When you watch dogs together, groups of dogs together, the only ones that are touching each other are the ones that are trying to be obnoxious to the other ones. And this little sausage roll Frenchie, he's like that. Especially with Prince, he's like, he'll come up and he'll kind of poke him with his flat face against his back, and Prince hates that. So he'll turn around and he'll snap at him, and he goes, yeah, game on, all right. And he'll start poking him back, and then it's like chaos, so I have to interrupt it. The Staffy, he lives with 3 kids. He's already overstimulated with touch, and he just doesn't. Who's he got right behind me? He likes to be touched. Like, I can just sort of briefly touch him, but he doesn't want to hang out either. Like, he's not a big massage me endlessly type of dog. But my Pomeranian, sure, on her terms, until she doesn't want it anymore. Then she leaves. That's the thing to remember, is the petting is for you. You want to touch a dog for you, not for the dog. And when the dogs like my Pomeranian that just can't get enough touching, she can't get enough touching, and you think, oh, that's the kind of dog I want. But let me tell you this, when she's had enough, she leaves. It's still on her terms. So I don't really, when she comes up and starts bumping my hand and leaning into me and saying, touch me, please. I just cross my arms and look away so that she will stop it. I just want her to lay down and be quiet. Stop it. And that works. As you're, oh, okay, I give up. But if I so much as sneak in a pet, she's like, she's back, and she starts bugging me again. So just, not every dog likes to be touched, and even when they do, you set the rules for touching, but not if she's telling you. Good dogs give warnings. If she's telling you by curling her lip or giving you the look or walking away, don't pursue it. That's how little kids often get bit by dogs, because dogs don't like to be touched and kids can't keep their hands off them, and that the parents don't intervene. Then the dog recognizes really, really quickly, this is up to me if I'm going to teach these kids what the rules and boundaries are. So first of all, the dog tries to walk away. Then the kids pursue it, and they're touching it all the time. So then the dog goes and hides, and then the kids go underneath and try to drag it out, or the mom puts a leash on it and drags it out. Then the dog snarls. Oh my God, the whole place panics. And then the next thing, still nobody reads what the dog is doing. And then the dog snaps, turns around and snaps, doesn't make contact, because good dogs give warnings. They will not bite if they're overstimulated by too much touching unless you ignore their warnings. And sometimes they're very subtle, like getting up and walking away. So my advice to Jackie is the Papillon's being friendly enough. If you leave her alone and stop touching her, she's going to want to be with you more. That's how you get her to be more friendly. I hope that helped. What is an e-collar? Great question. TT Warnke. Okay. Where is Coda? Here he is. Hey, buddy. So, an e-collar is an electronic collar that sits on the dog's neck, looks like this. These are the little contact points. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to go. I don't want to be out of sight and be rude here. So I'm going to walk over here. I forgot to pick up this control. So it works on a control. I've been using these collars, these tools. They've changed immensely since I started to use them. At one time, they were what we call a pro-only tool. Only the pro dog trainers use them. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. And now anyone can use them, and that's also a good thing and a bad thing. Anyone can use them, so anyone thinks they can use them, and they are a specialty tool. And if you mess up with an e-collar, you have nowhere else to go. It's pretty hard to come back from that. So you have to be very careful on your timing. They have that little control. This is what we call a transmitter. This is the receiver. I press the button on the transmitter, and whatever I don't know if you can see there's a number there. Right now the number's at 14, and that's only because it's set for poop patrol. I usually have, for him, he's like down around like nothing really, because we mostly use vibrate. So I don't know if you can hear this. Okay. Yeah, so that light comes on, there's a vibration happening there. That's what he feels. That's enough. Usually that's worse than just about anything, because he goes, oh, okay. But then they soon figure it out that that's not really a consequence. And then there's what we call just a little stimulation. It's like a TENS machine. How many of you have used a TENS machine for muscle relaxation? You can set whatever intensity you want. I start usually around 5 or 7. And when I press and hold what we call the black button, I press and hold it, the light comes on there, it's red, and the light comes on here, it's red. And as long as I'm holding that button, he's getting a signal through these contact points. And I can touch it, like it feels like a little tingle, that's it. And that's set on 14. And he feels it way more than that. The tough dogs, the staffies, the pit bulls, the mastiffs, they are very, very sensitive. So they go from 0 to 60. That's the problem. You want to adjust your intensity to the level, the dog slightly above the dog's adrenaline level. And when he's focused on having a poop meal, his adrenaline is off the scale. He's like totally zoned out. He's off the scale. So it has to be at that height, just at that level, just to get his attention. But it's fully regulated by the handler. That's why training is important. And in my world, no one buys these from me off the shelf. They get them as part of a training package, because I don't believe they should be sold in store shelves without help, without training. So I offer training for this in person here at my facility, as well as an online program, right from how you introduce the dog to it to how you start to use it to teach the dog, reinforce your basic obedience commands, and then how you use it to reinforce your recall and basic obedience commands like sit when the dog's faced with distractions. It is the ultimate, most consistent, humane tool out there. The dog knows, you teach him what he's supposed to know, and he goes to almost violate that or not do that, and then press the button, and he goes, oh yeah, right, you showed me that before. Because we teach everything first with the guidance of a leash, so that we're programming the brain. All right, enough. Okay, here we go. So watch the little sausage roll here. Look at him. But for an e-collar, we program the dog to know what the response is, to avoid, first of all, to shut it off, and then to avoid. All right, Prince is trying to stay out of trouble, and the Frenchie's trying to get him started, trying to get him going. Prince knows to avoid trouble. Prince, go in place. Bruiser. It's such a little shit disturber. Oh my God. Yeah, look at this. It's going, hey, big buddy. Yeah, look at Prince is being so patient. Yep. Yep. So if you're interested in something like that, TT Warnke, as I mentioned, the book on the art of training your dog with an e-collar by Mark Goldberg and The Monks of New Skeet is an excellent resource. I'm happy to chat with you privately about that, or let me know where you're at, and I can recommend a really reliable trainer there in your area. Oh, these two are getting carried away here. This is going to get nasty here in a minute, because Prince's play is a lot like the Papillon's touch that we were talking about earlier. He only takes so much of it. He's going to feel cornered by these guys in a minute. But he did get off his place when I told him not to, so he's going to have to. All right, I'm going to put the Frenchie away. Why? Because he goes off the scale. Hey, Bruiser, come here. Bruiser gets what we call crazy eyes. His owner calls it crazy eyes. You. And the crazy, you go, oh boy. He doesn't want trouble, but there we go. I don't know if you probably couldn't see that, but his owner says he gets crazy eyes, and that's what it is. His eyes just get all buggy, and then he's going off. He's going into what Cesar Millan calls red zone. He can't help himself, and that's how. For those of you that have ever seen this is why dog parks are so dangerous, because he was playing, but I see his eyes, and I don't have to look that closely to see what's going on in his eyes, and he gets to that zone, and then he can't control himself. He just goes up and up and up. And then Prince, being the dog that he is, has a certain threshold of tolerance. And when that tolerance, he sees I'm not interrupting because I'm over here. And if I need to interrupt, I've got to abandon here. And he sees I'm preoccupied. So he's got to take care of it. And when he takes care of it, it's not going to go well for the Frenchie. And that's all because nobody listened to the message that Prince was giving with his mouth, and he will correct, and then the Frenchie yelps, and then it's game on. So I just interrupt it. Yeah, we'll take them out for a walk after. They can do all that stuff outside. That's the kind of play I don't allow inside. So that was a good little show there. So don't forget, folks, now what I would normally do if I was in a room, Prince already, this is the result of doing the mastering the art of doing nothing, and the chill spot note. You see what he's doing? He knows. He says, I'll just go here and lay down because that's what I'm supposed to do anyway. And if I was not on talking to all of you, I would put Bruiser on a leash and I would just sit on it, and that would be our chill spot. And he would go, okay. It probably wouldn't. He'd want to climb up on my lap. That's what he does. So if you want to know more about how that works, you want to try that with your dog, type chill spot in the comments, and you'll get your free PDF, just a PDF download. That's my lesson plan on how I do it, when I do it, what tools you need. Very, very simple. You've got those tools anyway. And then how you end the exercise. You don't go on and on. You start with 5 minutes, and then you just gradually make it longer and longer. All right, so post your comments. Oh, I see one question here. Let me see if I got this. Okay, Chelsea LK209. We need more information than that. What to do when your dog doesn't like people. You've asked me that before, and I'm glad for the question, but I need to know what dog, what kind of dog it is, how old it is. What do you mean by doesn't like people? Not every dog should like every person. Not every person likes every dog. Not every person likes every person. So and what kind of leadership are you providing? You saw here what I just did by interrupting that play. I gave Prince some relief. I set some boundaries for the Frenchie, and poor old Coda. I'm just gonna shut this with you see her. Coda was literally shivering over there because he knew things were gonna go south in a hurry. So I rescued him. Now he just goes back and lays there and chews his bone. So when you say what to do when my dog doesn't like something, there's a whole bunch of things a whole bunch of questions that need to be answered. What kind of behavior is triggering the assumption that he doesn't like people or she? And what are you doing when you get the indicator that it doesn't like people or person, or is it a particular person? Is it every person? And then what do you do afterward? Do you carry on, ragging on the dog, or do you let it go so that the dog learns that, when a dog is stressed and doesn't understand how to get out of a situation, then their internal feedback loop can't shut down the adrenaline. So they go up and up and up, and pretty soon they can't come out of that. And all they can do is go into a bite or do something to relieve their basically over adrenaline, or it becomes a habit, like what we call a dopamine rush, a dopamine fix, and they start to like it. They start to look forward to it. So it's up to you as a leader of the dog and as the person in charge of their behavior to build that resilience. If there's a person they don't like, instead of standing back and hanging on or yelling at them, intervene, because they're in fight or flight mode. And if you say doesn't like, that means he's either going forward in a fight, attack, back off mode, or he's trying to get out of the situation. And if he's held on a leash and he can't, that's when a bite happens. But the idea of being able to understand when the dog is with you, that you're the advocate, you eliminate that risk of he's going to bother somebody. So, okay. Jewel 73. Why does my 7-year-old lab bark at some dogs and not at others on a walk? Huh. It depends. You know, dogs have their own secret language. It also depends on who's in charge on the walk. If he's walking nicely beside you, and remember, one of the ways to learn what that looks like is to sign in, go to my bio and click on the Great Stroll and sign up for that course. It's not that expensive and you get full lifetime access to it. And you'll get some answers to this. Because what may be happening is there may be some dogs, you're walking down the street and the dog is coming on the same side as your dog, and that dog has got some kind of he's delivering a subtle, nasty message. You don't even know what it is. It's just an energy that dogs read. And there are some dogs that just give off that energy, and other dogs don't like it. Like this, there's oh, there's a little dog that comes here. He's one of my favorite little guys, but there's something about him. Dogs don't like him. And and they're mostly big dogs. Little dogs don't care, but big dogs don't like him. So in your case, my question would be how connected are you with him on the walk? Is he way out in front, like on a flexi lead or a body harness where he's just kind of doing his thing, and then he gets to decide when he likes a dog and when he doesn't? Or is he right tight with you and he's there is something, the dog's, maybe it's coming too close, maybe maybe it's out of control with its owner and he's not liking that energy, he's disagreeing with the energy, or maybe he's feeling, if he's out in front, then he feels threatened because you're just baggage on the back, and there's no way that he understands, there's no way that you're going to be able to advocate for him or her. If that dog happens to get away, because he doesn't know that the dog is under control. They don't know that. We know that because the dog's on a leash. We just assume that the other dog's supposed to know that, but they don't. They don't. They don't. So some dogs feel more threatening than others. That's the best I can do with that. If you want to send me a video of some of that, then I can maybe give you some more information. And by the way, folks, if you haven't already, please hit the follow button so that you're first in line to get new videos and new training. Great training tips come out every week, and you'll be the first one to know if you're a follower. And also, Instagram rules. I think if you're not a follower, I'm not sure I can see your messages, your private messages. So just checking to see where everybody's at here. You have to be, that's just rules. I don't make them up. I know that some people have tried to message me and then they end up emailing me and said they tried to message me, but they're not followers. So please, the thing is too, the more followers we have, the more um, it helps this show, put it that way, because I get feedback on my videos that I post. I take some of your questions. If they don't get answered directly in a reply, I'll bring them into the show, and we can share that information here. So that's how I got the question about the Papillon. I thought that's very cool because it's exactly the same way that my yeah, that's exactly the same way that my question is, that my Papillon is. Magia75_75. This is our last question. We're out of time. My 4-year-old Shiba Inu male gets protective when he's on leash and another dog comes closer. Absolutely. Is he getting protective of you? He's probably getting protective of himself, going, I'm going to die here. Here comes this dog. I better go forward. Some dogs run away. Some dogs go forward. Yours happens to go forward. Once again, I'm going to defer you to my Great Stroll Leash course, because what you want to teach that dog is the trigger dance. And you want to be the leader, which means when you see a dog coming, don't let your dog stay out in front and face it. Get between your dog and the oncoming dog or person to demonstrate to your dog that you're not afraid. You can turn and face your dog, or you can go forward into that oncoming dog and make it go away, or you can manipulate your dog to calmly switch sides. I used to teach with my labs. I teach other side. They go boom to the other side. Then I can turn sideways, put my back to the perceived threat, and keep going. And if he tries to cut in front of you, you just block him with your knee, but keep moving to get out of there. That's how I deal with that. But you got to do it over and over and over again. And the thing to remember is he's only 4, so you've got some lots of room there to teach him a new trick. Don't wait for an oncoming dog to start to teach him to walk on your other side. Practice it when you're in your backyard, when you practice it starting in the house. You use the cue. So if he walks on your left side, you've got your leash on the left side. You can't, let's pretend you envision the dog coming. You go, go other side, you swing him around, and then you just go boom, and he swings with you, and then you start walking sideways with him. And then when you go by, you can turn, you go heel, comes back to the left side, or left side, right side. You can label it whatever you want. Just be consistent and practice it before you need it. And then what you'll find happening is oftentimes they don't cut in front. You can do it two ways. You can also bring them behind you and just bring them. Like, if you've got your leash in your left hand, you take your free hand and you reach behind, you grab the leash and you teach them to come around behind. Some people find, and some dogs find that easier. They see something coming and they drop back, and that's good boy. Then you just bring them to the other side and you turn and you just get them to keep walking forward. Sometimes they'll try to resist. You encourage them to walk forward. It's called the trigger dance, and it is in chapter 5 in my Great Stroll Leash course. So I hope that helped. I'm going to just check the questions here. Dog tray is the best. Yeah, thanks, Gallopin. Thanks for that. Yep, that's the brand I would use recaller. Okay, folks, we had a great time this week. As always, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy evening to join in. And it has been a blast as always. So there you have it. Another week. Training tips at 6 with me, Karen Laws, the interior dog trainer, talking to all of you about your dog behavior challenges and offering some great training tips to help you have a great week. So remember, go back, listen to the audio, find out where you want to listen to again, and be sure to check out next week's show, where we'll be back here at 6. If you want to send me a message between now and then, I'll bring that question to the show and we'll get started on that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Be sure to follow us. I appreciate all of you. And that's what keeps this show going. It's because of you. We'll see you in the next video.